Welcome, welcome everyone. Yay. Just let everyone arrive. How wonderful to see all your faces from around the world. If you'd like to put in the chat where you're calling in from and something you're grateful for today, that would be just amazing to get a sense of this global group that is gathering. And yeah, we're recording the meeting today in Speaker View. So yeah, really grateful to see you all here and grateful for this project and the enthusiasm of everyone and the whole team that's holding space for us here. We've got Delvin and Barbara in the chat and Christy, who we'll meet later in the translation team. Yeah, so I'll hand over to you, John, to help ground us and help us all arrive.
Well, it means I have to arrive first. Okay, first I'll arrive myself. So everybody just arrive yourself. Help me out here. Can't lift you all at once. Ah, big deep breath. Feel the chair underneath you or the ground underneath you, and just feel yourself settling in. And recognize there's people from all over the planet with us right now. We're all like, if you picture Mother Earth as a sphere, which she is, we're all like little refrigerator magnets, each of us stuck to the surface of our mother. So just feel us collectively around this beautiful planet and just how we're supported, how we're held, and how that has been true for since the beginning of life on Earth. What a gift the Earth is for us. And to think about all the wonderful people who are here right now or who are watching the recording, all the people who are supporting this event, who have done all the planning and work to get it together, and feel, let that stretch out to all the people we don't even know about who are doing good things. If we watch the news, we might think there's no hope for this earth, but there are so many good people doing such good stuff all over this lovely planet. Thank you to the people. Thank you to all those who care and want to make a difference for those of us now and those in the future. Feel behind us the ancestors of all humanity that go back 300,000 years and imagine all of their relationships with the earth over time and how that feeds into who we are right here, right now. Wisdom keepers, knowledge holders, our parents and grandparents, and all the lineage that stretch back, and how they are present with us today. And then let's look forward to the future generations and maybe hold them in our hearts for a minute and think, what could we do here today as a group together that might actually help the future generations of all life? I love thinking about it that way. Let's expand our gratitude out to all the life systems around us, all the many kinds of life forms in the waters that support us, in the air and the wind and the weather, and that gorgeous little crescent moon that I saw this morning before dawn, and the sun that's shining on our land here in California right now. And gratitude for all the beings and all the atmosphere, and then all the planets around us, and all the stars and galaxies for as far as our minds can stretch. Ah, they all contribute to us being here right now. And it's just good to be here, good to be with good people, good to be with good things, and just put a little blanket of gratitude out for anything we didn't get to mention here or didn't mention enough. And I'll pass it back to you, Libby.
Thank you, John, for helping us arrive. And now, this call is to celebrate the launch of the two families of the seed deck in different languages. So we're now going to hear a welcome from some of the translators in different languages to hear their voices. So I'll hand over to you, Christy.
Falsche Ule.
Goedenavond en welkom Nederlandstaligen.
Un caloroso benvenuto a tutte e a tutti.
Et bienvenue à tous les francophones du monde entier.
Oikein hyvää iltaa kaikille ja tervetuloa.
Bienvenidos a Emerger Cultural, a todos los hispanos hablantes de esta reunión.
Og velkommen til alle de danskere, der er med her.
Bem-vindos e bem-vindas, toda a gente que fala português.
Well, that is so beautiful to hear all those languages, and it makes me even more grateful for this project and this translation project, because I really the wisdom that's held in those languages is really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so in this call today, in this workshop, John and I will be sharing a bit about cultural emergence and where it came from, and our hopes for it and our vision for it. And we'll be hearing from the core translation team. We'll be sharing a little bit about the design web and then the balance family. And then towards the end, we'll be having a chance to go into breakout rooms, and there's several people here who will be able to hold breakout rooms in different languages, and so that, yeah, and then there'll be some English speaking ones, and you have a chance to meet up with people that maybe speak your language. So yeah, that's the plan for the call. And yeah, let's hear from, so we have as well as the translators, we've had a core group of people who have been holding space for this project to happen. We've got Christy and Anna and Tess, and then Kathy, who's been doing all the graphic design work. So Christy, would you like to share? Christy and Anna, I could spotlight both of you if you'd both like to speak.
Yeah, happy to speak. Yeah, just really, really grateful for the project and how much work everybody has put in. Like, it's been a voluntary thing, and just all the volunteer translators have been amazing. Huge gratitude, Anna.
Yeah, it's been really beautiful to be an insider in this project, and I hope our Portuguese team will become bigger. So if you know of people who want to be involved in the project and have both languages, I'll be very happy to welcome you.
And Christy, were you going to screen share and show what people?
Yes, I can do. Yeah. So yeah, I was going to share. It's been an amazing project, and just a little bit of. I was looking in the diary this morning, and on the 5th of March 2025 is when we all met up for the very first time, all of the translators, and so many people volunteered. And I was counting it today. Today we've got 19 languages involved. 7 of which have resources now available, which is amazing, and then there are others that are coming very, very soon. Like, I know French and Greek, and they're all in progress, getting very close. And today we're celebrating the Spanish, Italian, Finnish, Norwegian, Gaelic, and Dutch, that they are there, which is lovely. So what I wanted to share with you is the Circle space, which if you already have an account in Circle, magically Emma and Luby did some stuff yesterday, which means that you can now see these spaces. But let me share them with you. Here we go. Luby, can you do me a thumbs up if you can see my screen, please? Thank you very much. Okay, so this is what you can see with the Discover plan, which is the free level, so you sign up for that. All the purple dots are freely available sections to you. And if you come down here, we've got Seeds of Peace. So there's like an overview section, which has also got copyright information in there, which is useful and helpful to know. There's a space for if you want to get involved with translation. There's some instructions in there. But then this is the beautiful, amazing thing. This is the design family. in all the languages that we currently have. So we've got the Norwegian, English, Spanish, Netherlands, Italian, Finnish, and Scottish Gaelic. And so if you go into a post like the Norwegian one, it references everybody who's been involved in the translation, and then there is the PDF self-print at home. So you would download that, and then it looks something like this. If I share my screen again. I think it's this one. So hopefully you should see some cards, and then so they're print at home, and so there's the Norwegian, just a presence Norwegian in our meeting as well. So yeah, super excited. One of the things we learned around the journey was that some words don't translate, and so that's part of the, like, particularly emergence. Not every language has emergence in it, so there's lots of learning and stuff that we have now for new languages that are, or for people that are wanting to translate. So yeah, I think that's all to say on the project. So thank you for listening. I'll pass back to Luby.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. So maybe John, I can find you and spotlight you as well. So so now you've seen what we're all excited about, let's do some explaining. One of my co-hosts find John and spotlight John as well. And I'll spotlight me. Ah, you've raised your hand. Thank you, John. Great, there we go. Great. Great, so we're both here. Great. So that's the way to do it, the raise hand. So yeah, let's share a bit about the origin of Cultural Emergence, which is actually 10 years old this year. It was 2016 that a mutual friend of ours, Ruth Corrie, got us together to teach a course which we, well, do you want to share, John?
Yeah, Ruth Corey, some of you know Ruth. She lives in Spain, and she's been working with me at Eight Shields for a while. And at the same time, she was working with Luby in the permaculture space. And Ruth kept saying to me, John, you really have to meet this woman, Luby McNamara, because she's got things that you really need, but you have things that Luby really needs. And I think she was saying the same thing to you. Is that right, Luby?
Yeah.
So she kind of twisted our arms, and got us together, and we got on Zoom together, and we just talked, and then we decided we would run a workshop together at Applewood Permaculture Center. It was the first workshop there, right after you had purchased. And Libby says to me before the group arrives, she says, well, you can just do what you always do, and I could just do what I always do, or we could find out what's in between us and see what emerges. And so we decided to just completely jump into the unknown space and allow the void, to yield creativity. And that's how Cultural Emergence was born. It was a very powerful synergy. And Ruth was right. Luby did really have things that I needed. And I guess I might have had things that you needed too, Luby.
Definitely. And there was new emergence within that as well. And the framing of cultural emergence. So within permaculture, we talk about permanent culture. So culture is definitely part of the work that I've been focusing on with my book People and Permaculture, and looking at seeing people as one of the limits of us doing earth care, people care, fair shares, the ethics of permaculture, and recognizing that we need to enhance our people care skills, and that also there's a cultural context that it can be limiting for us, and then the emergence of, like, well, what can come through, what's the unexpected yields, and so we set ourselves a mission. We had like a vision of the regenerative, peaceful future that I'm sure all of you here share that vision. But then it's like, what is the mission? What is ours to do that we can do? And so that was to look at creating a toolkit, which we did. I spent the pandemic writing it up into a book, and then it was like, okay, and we had a design called Going Global, which we were like, well, we've got this mission of creating this toolkit. How can we share it out into the world most effectively? And writing the book was one thing, but then also I was looking at how I can distill that wisdom into a card deck and create a universal visual language around it. So we have, so this was like the printout of what Christy just showed us. So it's like there's a universal language, and this is the balance family, which we'll talk more about later. But we were looking at culture, as thinking of culture as this complex web of seen and unseen patterns of thinking, behaving, feeling, interacting, and that can be interacting with each other, interacting with the natural world, more than human world. So that, yeah, there's many elements of that, and we're all part of many different cultures, and you might want to maybe you want to take some notes in this workshop and think about like, what are the cultures you're a part of. Yeah, do you want to say more about culture, John?
Yeah, culture is hidden in plain view, and we all have our own personal culture, whether we're aware of it or not. We all have one. It's just part of being a human being. Our families have cultures, our workplaces have cultures, our towns, our cities, our villages have cultures, our countries have cultures. Um, but I've always been of the mindset that a culture works best when it causes connection to happen between people, and especially between people and nature, people and one another, and people and themselves. And really powerful cultures will also connect us to awareness of ancestors and lineage and wisdom, and also responsibility for the future. So not all cultures get a good grade for that. And in my particular country, I'm not terribly proud of the culture here right now. And we have to, if we don't like the culture around us, we can actually influence it. And that's why we created Cultural Emergence, that here's ways to see the culture, here's ways to think about it, be more intentional, because culture is not unchangeable. Culture changes when people actually work with creativity, and especially with love and kindness, to actually take agency and say, well, I don't have to be a victim of an unhealthy culture. I can actually help create a better culture. So that's what we're hoping, that we're providing tools that would enable that for all of you. And so far in these 10 years, we've seen a lot of really good things growing out of this, so this little collection and this wonderful seed deck that Libby made, and the all the books and things and courses and the circle space, there's a lot of really cool things happening, and I'm happy Priscilla's here representing Kenya. And then, so I'm like thinking, gosh, it's all Northern Hemisphere folks doing this language thing. We got to start to get the mycelium going down into Africa as well, and across in other parts of the world. So thank you all for being here and supporting this. We do have a going global design, and we've said that from the beginning. And Libby, when we said that, we were sitting under an apple tree 10 years ago. And now here we are in a really pretty impressive global growing design, which I'm really, really excited about. So thank you all for being here. Let's see what emerges beyond this moment, because you'll all bring your creativity and your own unique gifts to what this is, and all this wonderful stuff will start to emerge out, and hopefully we can all help each other.
Yeah, so we called this like seeds of peace, and it's like each of these things, tools, we could consider like one seed that we could plant in our lives and grow. And like with emergence, it's like that unexpected, and the seed that we plant, like we plant a tomato seed and it looks like nothing like a tomato, and then it grows into a tomato plant which looks nothing like the seed, and then fruits, and we get juicy fruits from that, and we only know that's going to happen because we see the picture on the seed packet, and we know that it can happen. But this is emergence in action, and the same unexpected fruitfulness can come from these tools, and that's what people have been using and discovering as they've been going along. And we did set ourselves this idea of going global, and the big limit for us in going global was about having the tools in English. And we were like, well, we can only go so far in English, quite far, but not everywhere. And we really wanted to have it in a different language, and to not use just AI to translate it, but to use the power of human creativity and understanding to do these translations. So yeah, I've realized that I went off track and introduced Christy too early. So now we're moving on to the design web now. So one of the sets of the families that we've been focusing on is the design web, which shows up, yeah, in the card deck. Oh, dropped cards everywhere. Oh, I'm going to show my graphic of the design web. Where is it? There it is. Can people see that? Yep.
Yep.
Great. So this is the design web, which is a design framework that I created while writing People and Permaculture back in 2012. I know there's many of you on this call that have used the design web for designing things. So maybe you'd like to put in the chat what you've designed with the design web, so we can give some sense to people of what you can do with it. And what I've discovered is that people use it in all sorts of ways that I wouldn't have thought of. So the design web is a breakaway from the linear design framework in permaculture, and it's a non-connect with appreciation, connect with momentum. All of these different stages, which I call anchor points, are interconnected and woven together to create the emergence of a design. I'm gonna stop the share there. And what you saw there was also like there's some more than human beings that bring their wisdom into the design web. So we have the owl for vision, and we were going to focus on patterns. So the pattern for the patterns anchor point, we have the snake here, moves in patterns, and of course we have the idea of the snake shedding its skin and letting go of patterns. And we talked about culture being a set of patterns and having our own personal culture, which is our own personal web of patterns. So just taking a moment to think for yourself of what are the helpful patterns that you have that bring you into peace, and what might be unhelpful patterns that move you out of peace, take you away from that. I don't know, John, if you have any examples or guidance to share with people.
Yeah, I like to think about helpful patterns as those things that we can hitch our wagon to. They're already happening, they're already going. And for instance, a pattern that I like to use is that I'm always up at pre-dawn, and I'm always out in the early morning, and I always have this activity that I'm doing, my sort of centering activities. And when I'm working on a creative project, I always think, well, I already have this helpful pattern, so rather than having another time where I work on this, how can I weave my creative project into an already existing pattern? I already have this regular phone call once a week with this person. How can I leverage that conversation so that it gets into flow with what I'm designing? And just look at the things that you already have going that are already helpful, and how can you just step back for a minute and think, well, wait, rather than doing two separate things, how can I bring these things together so that they can help each other? And at the same time, I am also really aware of my unhelpful patterns. And we don't like to look at those, but the more you look at your unhelpful patterns, the more effective you become, actually. And I've come to really appreciate how much I can learn from my unhelpful patterns, and ask the question, how am I getting in the way of this? And is there a way that if I step back and bring other people's points of view in, they might reflect and help me see things that I can't currently see, right? So think about both the helpful and unhelpful patterns that you already have going. And if you're doing a design, it could be a simple project like moving an object in your yard from one place to another. What are the helpful patterns that could help that occur more smoothly? Oh, well, I always say hi to Bob on my way in when I'm getting the mail, and he's always seems to be helpful. Hey, Bob, I'm going to be moving this thing in a couple of days. Do you think you might be able to come over and give a hand? And Bob would say, well, yes, of course, and I'll bring my son because he's strong. And, be like, oh, okay, that was right there. But that helpful pattern of saying hi to Bob every day, when you're getting your mail, actually ends up helping something that if you were by yourself at home, your unhelpful pattern, which is I got to do it all myself, right? How am I going to move this thing? It's too heavy. I'll never be able to do it. It's going to hurt my back. I'll never do it, right? So look at how those patterns can set us back, and what other patterns can help us. So that's how I like to look at it.
Yeah, great. So let's hear in the chat what people have been designing. So Delvin's designed a year-long permaculture course as well as a day of more creative writing. From Laura, hosting my first Mother Nature Circle. Bernie's design web to build my house, to select a community, to organise my files on my computer, to improve a relationship. From Maria, designed my teaching day and PDC course. From Erin, used it for my sit spot, for cleaning an area, for prioritising some chaos in my life. I'm now using it to help me decide how to set up my new apartment. From Kim, going to design my pilgrimage on the Camino. From Lucas, design web, family transitions and room rearrangements, and a lot of my personal culture. Do you want to read some, John?
Open my mic where you left off with the personal culture. Gosh, there's so many here.
Yeah, I was on Hawkart, but yeah, you could.
Oh, there he is. Okay. And Adrian, I teach PDC students to use the design web to initiate the development of a foggy thought or idea in a nonlinear way, because PDCA and SADIMET, etc., can set up a red herring premise of development. Yeah, the nonlinear thing, Libby, we didn't mention that, but the design web literally is a web, right? So you work on one piece, it affects the whole web, and you can see, you can do it linearly, but it's so much more helpful to do it in more of a peripheral, expansive way, and let the web sort of guide you. Aaron, what if unhelpful patterns are a disorder, part of neurodivergency? What is a way to use the design? That's a great question. Do you have a thought on that, Luby?
Can you read it again? I can't see the
Yeah,
question.
what if the unhelpful patterns are a disorder or part of neurodivergency? What is a way to use the design web?
Well, again, I mean, with neurodiversity, there is a lot of superpowers in there. So it's kind of reframing some of your weaknesses and like working out what are your strengths and how to enhance those. So again, it's still the unhelpful and helpful patterns, and how to become more self-aware of what your needs are, and when in the day things are easier to do than other times of the day. So it's still about that observing yourself and your context and what works for you. So yeah, I know that there are many people that actually enjoy, that are neurodiverse, that enjoy the design web because you can jump around and discover things in that non-linear way. But yeah, I would say self-awareness is one of the things that the design web can help with. Yeah, so wow, there's lots of things in the
I'll pick
chat
up
here.
I'll pick up with Darlene because
Yeah.
she uses design web for visioning and manifestation. Um, Anna uses it very often for small and big projects, from day and week designs to personal goals. Rebecca, her homestead. Joyce, currently using design web to create a blueprint for developing ceremonies in young communities. Wow, people are doing it, so many cool things. Fee, I've micro-designed to have more crochet in my life using the design web, which then led on to a new Wise Women's Crochet Circle for women in perimenopause and menopause. And it would be so cool if you could actually do a crochet design web, Fee. That would be really cool. That would be a good, fun thing to have. And let's see, over to Priscilla.
No, and I love that. That's just such a good example of the emergence that can happen with the design web. You start somewhere designing for something, and then all sorts of other things flourish as a result of it. Yeah.
Totally. Priscilla is designed for this week, Wednesday, to complete an assignment, and she's also designed a phase 3 permaculture training for next week. That's wonderful. And oh, Gwen, oh gosh, I don't know how to pronounce that. Gwenelle, um, it will help me present the project to the town council to plant trees and protect the villagers from the increasing severe storms. Wow, this is fun. You want to pick up anything? I think that might be it, but I'm not sure here. Oh, health design from Catherine. Chat keeps jumping all around. I keep losing it.
Yeah, I've seen some go past, but yeah, there's lots. There's birthday parties. I think what one of the things that is really apparent from the list in there. I won't try and find all the ones we've missed, but yeah, we'll save the chat because it's such a rich example of what we can do. But what's really clear to me here from reading that is how we can use it on a very small, like I want to rearrange my living room, I want to design my week ahead, I've got a meeting ahead of me, and I call these designs like microgreen designs, all the way to I want to build my own home like Bernie's doing, or a year-long program. So there's so many things that people can do, like from the very small to the very big, which is really exciting to see how, yeah, the range of things that can be done, and some really tangible things, and some more intangible, like or health, or like I've got Lisa Maria here, so like talking about strong bonding, cultural contain connection. So yeah, so many different different examples, and I think the emergence of this might be the kind of crocheting of design webs. So I see that Fee's just said, yeah, we could like let's create a pattern for them and seeing them. I
Well,
talk to you about crochet every week, John, but you've never once had that idea, so I love
no.
that.
But Erin took it one step further. She's like, we'll make little design web doilies that go all around the house, right? So you can have.
Lovely. Lovely. Yeah, we could do one for each of the anchor points, different design. Yeah.
It's fun.
So
Um,
yeah,
are you?
sorry, go.
Yeah, I think we're good for time. I'm not sure. I've been tracking, but it seems like we have a little space right here. But if I could take a minute just to share one of my
Yes.
favorite things about Design Web. So Libby and I have been teaching Design Web every year. Now we're teaching it under the course Design Adventures, right? And a couple of years ago, but the commitment we always make is that, well, there's no point in us teaching a bunch of people Design Web if we ourselves are not working on a design at the same time, right? Because if I'm going to talk about Design Web, I want to talk about something fresh, something that's happening right now, and if I'm bumping into things, it's so great to have the group to brainstorm with and that we all help each other out that way. But Libby's like, well, what's your design going to be? that you're going to work on? I'm like, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. There's a lot of things I could do. And I had already been complaining about what a mess my garage was because we had just moved into the house and everything just got thrown in the garage that we weren't going to put in the house from the move. And there was a mountain of things, literally couldn't park a car. Excuse me. And so Louis said, I think you keep mentioning this design thing and this garage thing. Maybe that should be your design. I'm like, no, no, I don't want to do that. Because every time I walk in the garage, I felt like Superman near kryptonite. My energy would drain out of my body, and I'd quickly leave the garage and close the door, like, oh, can't move. And she said, no, now I'm sure you should do it for your garage, So um, she said, but you can't call it clean the garage because that doesn't have any magic in it. And so you have to come up with a magic word that every time you say the name of your design, it generates electricity like a spell. And so I called it activating flow. And I'm telling you, the moment I named it activating flow, I was already interested in going in there and working on it. And Design Web caused me to completely deal with all that and have this beautiful organized workshop. And all my friends came and we had a dance party in the clean garage, all from Design Web. Because I had to teach Design Web, I had to be working on a design, and it was so transformational. And the interesting thing about Design Web, I've told Libby this, like I've never seen more synchronicity with people together than when they're working with Design Web. There's some kind of magic to it. And I think it might have to do with Libby kind of getting inspired by a spider in a garden that gave her the vision of the web itself. And then she started thinking about, oh, it's a web and they all affect each other. And there's total flow. I mean, it just activates flow in such a powerful way. So if you haven't played with Design Web, take a crack at it. And, you could even just do the little one called Design Your Week Ahead and just play with it just to see what happens. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, and now you can all get access to the Design Web cards and use them at home as well to get inspired and use them with groups as well, because that's also really powerful is when you use them with other people, it can really bring a sense of connection and accountability and peace in a group, whether that's a group, your family, your relationship, or a community group you're working with on a course. So many different sizes of group. Yeah, so I think there is a real sort of sense of connection between designing your life, designing for your personal elements of your personal culture or your group culture, and a sense of building peace. We call this seeds of peace. So just bringing that forth, that idea of like actually when you're making a commitment to stepping into design, that is a sense of following your purpose, following your visions, and that can bring you peace. Lovely. So let's hear from Barbara and Laura about your process of using the Design Web for this project. So this translation project. So let me unspotlight us. And Barbara, do you want to unmute yourself? And then
yeah, I did.
And
can you
find
Louis,
Laura?
can you do both of us at the same time?
I can.
Yes.
I can. Do you want to raise your hand, Laura, and then I can find?
Oh my goodness, where is that? I don't know. Oh, here. Sorry.
Fine.
Yeah, got it.
Oh gosh.
There we are.
That's great.
There we are. Yeah, thanks, Louis. Yeah, we use the Design Web for many things. With groups, with people. So also while translating the CEED deck to the Dutch language. Dutch is the language of the country called the Netherlands, to make people very confused. Some people also call it Holland. It's all the same tiny country. And just fun facts, I also designed with the design web how to speak fluent Croatian, because that's the country where I live now. So yeah, so we translated the deck into Dutch with two Flemish speakers, Joyce and Monique. Not sure if Joyce is here, but I think she is. And we're really proud of the result. And we even made a new card. So only in the Dutch translation, we have a card. It looks like this. It was the wild card in the English deck. And we turned it into it's a practice in the Embody family, and it's called Speak Your Mother Tongue. And it says, connect without getting lost in translation. Well, in Dutch, that is verbinding zonder vertaalslag. Your mother tongue touches your soul. Your native language evokes recognition and acknowledgement. And I will put in the chat how you write the last sentence of, yeah. So here in the chat, you can see how you write the last sentence. We thought that was super funny. So there are two different words, herken and erken, two different meanings, but you write it very similar. So we were very proud of our own creativity. And yeah, I'm sure you'll have the same when you listen to music in your own language. And you don't have to like it, but yeah, in your mother tongue, singers do speak to your soul. Like for the Nederlandstalige André Hazes, or Renaud in France, or Jacques Brel, or Reinhard May, or Constantin Wecker, Joan Manuel Serra, Francesco de Gregori, maybe Billy Bragg or Amy MacDonald in English language. So yeah, then you know what we mean. They speak to you, your soul. How is that for you, Laura?
Now you're talking about André Hazes, which is like one of the most famous Dutch. We call it like, a city singer, like the no, he's the singer of the Dutch people. But now there's kind of these weird love songs going through my head. So now I have to get over to you know, speaking about translation, Barbara and I prepared a little bit this morning, and we thought, well, let's take some cards of the card deck because that's what we do in Cultural Emergence. And Luby and John, I think, will talk about this a bit later. It is the first phase actually when you start using the design web, and it's about challenging and awakening. And for me, the translation of the cards was like, for me, awakening, because I was definitely not aware of, how I use my language and how different you can also translate, let's say, English to Dutch. And especially because we had our two lovely Flemish speakers, we had very interesting discussion and we got so deep into the translations. So, yeah, what about that for you, Barbara? Did it awaken something for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I also remember well on this card, the Challenge and Awaken card. So we used on that card, we translated the word awaken in two different ways. We both used ontwaken and aanwakkeren. So there is a difference in energy between waking up in the morning and stoking a fire. And in Dutch, yeah, that's how you would translate it back. But both of these are about bringing and rising energy in. So I bet that the Dutch-speaking people will feel how empowering that is to use both these translations. And this is an example of how we translated more poetically to speak to people's hearts and not just a AI translation. Yeah. And move and invigorate, another card. is a card that speaks more to our inner designer, I think. How can we consciously create growth and effectiveness and a culture that we want to live in and want to belong to? What do you think, Laura?
Yes, that speaks to me very much. And one of the sentences of this card is also how can you move and invigorate with others? And I think we did that in our group because we all had our own voice. However, what we all the time were searching for is attunement between our voices. And we reached that in a way that I personally could have never done alone. And that is, I think, for cultural emergence has a beautiful card expressing that, and that is, the power of the collaboration of cooperating hearts, because that magic was definitely happening for us. And so we now move over to the third card because we have three phases in cultural in the design web, and that is one that is nourish and empower. And how is that for you, Barbara?
Yeah, I was thinking, in Dutch it's voeden en bekrachtigen. I was thinking to actually print all the languages from the cards because, here on our permaculture farm, we host volunteers from all over the world. And every time a new cohort of volunteers arrives, or when I facilitate a course, then one of the first things that we do is define our group culture, culture that we do want to be in, and what the outside world does that stays outside. And we like to consciously create our culture. It's like what John said before. And the cards really help with raising people's awareness.
Yeah. So I think that's what we wanted to share with you. And this last card about nourishment and empowerment, this meeting, having so many people joining is amazing. And it feels, I hope also for you, very nourishing and very empowering. Thank you all. Back
Yeah,
to Luby
thanks.
and John or Christy.
Spotlight. Oh, hey.
There we are.
I love that you've got a new card there about the speaking the mother tongue. That was yeah, really great to hear that, and great to hear your experiences, which sound really nourishing and empowering for that. And you've started our job off with which was to next we were going to share about the phases of cultural emergence. So you've started that process off for us very beautifully. So, yeah, well, you've been introduced to the three different phases of challenge and awaken, move and invigorate, and nourish and empower. And I thought I'd just invite you as all to kind of feel them in our bodies for a minute. So we've got this visual here. So we've got this picture here where it's just like this awaken, like, okay, which, yeah, thanks, John. And it's just can be like, that sense of like a cold shower, refreshing, but you don't necessarily want to stay in there too long. It can be a bit too much if you have too much like of that. So, and then we have the move and invigorate, which is that like that sense of like, okay, going for a swim in the or something. You're like being really active and getting things done. But again, tiring if you're there for too long. And then we have the nourish and empower phase, which is that like that sense of like being hugged, or that like, oh, okay, that's like it's like the hot tub experience of the cultural emergence spa. So we've got the three different phases there, which are then called the balance family, because what we want is a balance between all of the phases. If we have too much of one, we can be like too much of the challenge and awaken can lead to overwhelm, or too much of the move and invigorate, we get burnt out, or too much of the nourish and empower, and we get a bit like not compassionate for other people, maybe. So we want to have a balance of them, and we can use these phases as like a map of where we are. We can use them like for ourselves, thinking about yeah, our own life, and we can use them about other people and thinking about what other people want. We can also use them about thinking what's happening on a collective level, and there's definitely a lot of the challenge and awaken at the moment. Yeah, John, your thoughts on the phases. And
That's one way to talk about the headlines. There's a lot of challenge and awaken at the moment. Puts a design web spin on it. Yeah, it's challenging and awakening for sure. Um, think about if you were to make a stool that you're going to sit on and you want to really trust it, and it has only three legs. And if one of those legs is short or too long, you will fall over when you try to sit on that stool, right? And that's why you want to balance these three energies, because you literally need kind of a combination of them. And it's interesting just to track ourselves for a minute. Maybe we could write in the chat there, Libby, just the three phases. Just type them out, or somebody will for us. Because I want you to think about this and think about where you're at, right? Like um, maybe after the pandemic, for me, I spent so much time sitting in my garden at my sit spot in my garden, right? That I had reached this point of inertia, and I'd done so much nourish and empower because of the stress of that time. By the time it had taken full root in me, I didn't really know how to move anymore, right? I needed to challenge and awaken, and come out of that with a vision and some energy moving towards action. And then I started to move and invigorate, and that got the flow going again, the activation of the flow. So um, yeah, think about where you are. So Anna and Christy, and thank you for writing that in the chat there. Look at those three things: challenge and awakening. Um, challenge and awaken. Thank you. Move and invigorate, and nourish and empower. Think of where you are with respect to those. Which ones are strong for you right now? Which ones might need more attention? Because the three of them work really well in a cycle, so to speak. So we're going to do something with that in a minute, but just start thinking about that. Like I was saying, I had so much inertia from the sitting in isolation in COVID and not moving very much. I needed challenge and awaken to kind of shake me out of that inertia, and then move and invigorate to get me going. And different phases of the design web will also kind of kick in one of these three at different points, and you'll see how they balance. But yeah, that's what I'd like to share on that.
yeah, so the patterns seem to be a theme of today. So we started talking about culture as this web of patterns, and then looking at in the design web the unhelpful and helpful patterns that bring us towards or away from peace. And then with the challenge and awaken, we also can be thinking about pattern disruption as well. We've got the card here, pattern disruption, and this moving out of automatic pilot, and like shaking up and trying out new things. And yeah, we've got here like loosening the status quo to explore new possibilities, and that involves a bit of patterns disruption, which can move us out of our comfort zone. So it can feel uncomfortable on that challenge, but that's where the growth is as well. So that's why we need that. And then with the move and invigorate, it's like finding ways to be effective in our lives and designing the pathways to where we want to get to. And then nourish and empower, well, we started this call off with that connection through giving gratitude, to writing gratitude in the chat, and then John's beautiful grounding and gratitude there. And so this is this nourish and empower, giving ourselves time for self-care, for connecting with ourselves, with others, with the more than human world. And yeah, how can you nourish and empower others as well? So that get sense of giving and reciprocity in there as well. And I love Georgia's put in here, like, please someone design a cultural emergence spa at Applewood. Like, yes, we'd love that. Yeah. So, John, do you want to say some more about the nourish and empower? Because I know that's particularly a strong point for you and one of your priorities.
Yeah, well, one thing I would say about nourish and empower that I've learned, especially since the isolation time of the pandemic, um, that we can bring nourish and empower into every moment. So even when there's like, say we have a list of things to do and a short time to get them done and some kind of pressing need to get them done. Maybe a bunch of people are going to arrive and you have to have the place ready or whatever, right? Like that, where you don't have control over it, right? And it's so easy to kind of lose the nourish and empower feeling at the time and then go right up into the left brain and like, oh, if I don't get it right, it's going to be this. And if I don't, and you start to like put all these negative thoughts on it. And then you get yourself all stressed out and then you just feel terrible. But if you actually build, nourish, and empower into your daily life, like I love to do, like I was saying earlier, I'm up at pre-dawn. I love to sit in the quiet. I love to look up at those stars. And this morning, I saw that beautiful little crescent moon coming through the trees. And then I heard the mourning doves calling, and they were singing in their roost, and I just let myself just get really, really deep into that feeling. Um, it's my choice to hold on to that feeling, which is nourishing, very nourishing feeling, right? It's my choice. If I do have a list of things coming at me, I can choose to go up into that left brain with my fear and anxiety patterns, the unhelpful patterns, right? Or I can say, well, here's this helpful pattern. I can actually bring the feeling of that sit at pre-dawn back to myself right now. I've just done it for you just now. Like I put myself back in that place. And when I do that, then when I actually go to do tasks, I actually do them much better because I'm coming from a better part of myself, right? So Nourish and Empower is a lovely gift from spending time in nature and letting our senses expand. And as Luby already pointed out, gratitude, is so nourishing. One of my favorite things to do, which I did today, I love to read everyone's gratitude. I like to imagine where you are. I never, maybe haven't been to many of the places where you all are, but I just imagine you there and I feel you there. And maybe I don't even know who you are yet because I'm not actually looking at the chat and trying to figure out which little square you are and see your face. I don't get to do that, but I'm feeling you as a person and I'm feeling your gratitude for your place and where you're at. And I'm feeling myself, your connection and my connection growing just from that simple act, right? Gratitude is incredibly powerful. And it's so easy, but again, it's a choice, right? So, yeah, I think you could get a lot from wandering without a sense of time or destination sometimes. And I know this sounds weird, but hey, I've got 30 minutes. I'm feeling a little stressed out. I'm going to set a timer on my smartphone and put it in my pocket and not look at my phone and forget about time. And I'm just going to wander without a sense of time and go where my curiosity takes me. And when that thing buzzes in my pocket, I know, oh, it's time not to be timeless again. But sometimes that half hour can feel like 2 hours, you know? These are all nourishing and empowering routines. Having a place that you sit and visit in nature every day close by your door so you don't feel like you have to take a long hike to get there. Getting to know the little birds and animals around you in your yard and getting to know them as neighbors, as individuals, learning their personalities, getting to see their life unfold in front of your eyes. These are all nourishing and empowering routines. And of course, sharing good, calm friendship with, good conversation with friends from a calm place based in gratitude is also very nourishing and empowering. And coming to today's event has been very nourishing and empowering for me. So I'll stop there.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, lovely. So we're going to give you a chance to go into breakout rooms now, which I'll hand over to Christy in a moment to explain about that. And you're going to have a chance to reflect on the balance of these phases in your life at the moment. And yeah, that will change. So that might be, you know, how the balance in the day or the week or the season. It can vary, like what the parameters for that balance is. And I've also, Christy, maybe you could, while we hand over to you, just also share about other languages. I've had a question about like the German translation, and yeah, if you'd like to share something about that when we hand over to you. So let me,
Raise your hand.
there you go.
There we go.
Okay. So if you put the question in for everybody, Luby, or do you want me to do that? Here we go. So you've got the question in the breakout room to reflect on what the balance of the phases is in your life at the moment. For those who are like, oh, I have this language and I want to translate it, or is there anybody working on already that there's that post-in circle. You can also feel free to private message me your email. Don't put it in the main chat, but private message me your email in the chat, which language you're interested in, whether or not you'd like to translate, or maybe you'd like to be a tester for it. Because we need people that test as well, because once we get the translation, it's then really important to trial it out on people, and the more testers we have, the more mistakes and things that we need to edit and change we find. So please feel free to do that, but otherwise there's that post in circle as well where you can share, and I can get back to you and say, oh, so and so's working on this translation, and connect you up, or say there's nobody working on it, here's how to get started. So yeah, very welcome with that. So yeah, going back to the breakout room question, reflecting on what the balance phases in your life are at the moment. So I am going to open the breakout rooms. I'll explain it before you go. So if I open the room, and then if you go down to the bottom, you should have a breakout rooms icon. If you're on a phone or an iPad, you might not see what I'm seeing, but you should have a breakout rooms icon. If you don't have it, it might be under the 3 dots and more. So have a look in there. And if you open the breakout room, what we're doing is you can, you want to be looking at rooms. You might see a whole list of people. And if you scroll down, you will get to a list of rooms of different languages. So there's a room for the Celtic languages, the Irish, Welsh and Gaelic. So I'll be hopping in there. But then you've got Danish, Dutch. There's a couple of Dutch rooms, Estonian, Finnish, a couple of French rooms, a couple of German rooms, an Italian room, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, Spanish. All other languages is if you're in there and you're like, oh, well, my language isn't mentioned. If your language is English, they're right at the bottom. There's a whole range of English rooms. So what you do is you should have a little blue join button. So you find your room. We're saying roughly 6 people in a room. There might be a few more. So if your room feels really full, you can hop out and go and find another room to join if you wish to. So just discussing that question, and you've got 15 minutes and we'll bring you all back. So if you'd like to...
And if you don't want to join a room, you can stay in the main room. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Delvin might want to stop recording now for a little bit.
So, great. Wow, well, welcome back, everyone. It's great to, maybe if you can make sure you're muted, help. Great, wonderful. So here we are back in the main room again. We'd love to hear a bit in the chat about something you've, an insight maybe that you've had in the breakout room. Yeah, maybe we could hear a couple of voices as well. Is there anyone that would like to speak and share something about those phases? Or...
Luby, I could share.
Yes, please.
Hey, Luby, I want to say hello. And Elias, I took my permaculture class with Elias M. Kasher, and he's the one who turned me on to your work. So, and I love it. And I did my PDC around people in permaculture. But it was funny, in the French room, I was with Anthony and Lilou. And the first thing that I asked was like, can you give me the names of the French translation of those 6 words? Because I was curious. I mean, I could have come up with something, but I didn't get the one that they found about. But I think and Anthony felt the same because he was doing the process in English with the English card. And I knew that by hearing the words in French, my native language, I've been in New York for a long time, it would just bring some other things in me than if it was English again. So that's interesting. So that's why it's so great that you're doing all those translation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And so great that other people are doing the translations because I only have one mother tongue. Yeah, so Rebecca's put in the chat mixture of those that would like more challenge and those that need less. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Anyone else like to share something that came up?
I'd like to jump in. It seemed a lot of us were feeling the co-presence of these different phases all at once, which brought up a discussion about how you could be in multiple phases.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sometimes they kind of go so quickly between them that they're sort of more like a lasagna than like separate pieces on your plate. Yeah. Yeah, so Kevin has said that they found that they weren't just in one phase, but 2 or 3. Yeah, that they appear more like energies than phases. And Carla made a great image of it being like the moon, perhaps, where they pass as phases, but parts are always there, even if hidden. Love that. That's a beautiful image there. Maria, my reflections about the CEEDS phases can be used to face fear. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, there's the challenge and awaken can often kind of be expressed as fear as well, of just and can be manipulated as that, but it can also be seen as this positive like thing. But yeah, it's a thing to step into. Lots of reflections coming up now. Stephanie, Priscilla reminded me that breaking things down into manageable chunks helps with progress, allows you to celebrate progress along the way. Lovely. And we've got some new phases here, 2 more phases. Distilling and letting go, rest and germination from Marina. Lovely. From Tara, hearing how they are there to remind us to attend to our own personal culture, and how they dance, move, and are fluid. Thank you. From Sanne, thanks to fellow Dutchies. We spoke a lot about nourishment, nature, and permaculture was a red thread, and a beautiful connection emergence made during the session. And this is the pause icon here. My cat, Milky, yeah, who isn't related to my kittens. And Darwin resonated deeply with the 2 other phases, and considered different ways to practice or embody the phases. Thank you so much for these keys. Thank you. So, John, do you want to raise your... actually, I saw Lucas as well. I saw your hand come up at some point. Did you want to speak? Let's think it.
Well, originally there was this like I was also reminded by like even if visions are big and I deal with the fear that things are too complex or I want too much or am I encouraged enough to speak out the big vision. Also, it was already in the chat that Priscilla really reminded us like breaking it down, making it like small steps that really already empower it and refuel and reconnect. So that I really like that. And coming up to the phases, well, I'm reminded that okay, I feel that I'm like on the tipping point of the moving and invigorate. There's a lot of action, and I hear calling. There's nourishment calling for me to yeah, hold and breathe and connect and root. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Lucas. Nice to see you again. Okay, let's John and me come on spotlight. Spotlight. Great. And do you want to read out John Anthony's?
Yeah. Anthony realized that as an adult, he spent nearly 20 years to grow the leg, challenge, and awaken, then 6 years working on the nourish and empower. Hopefully, he's working faster and he'll start to work on that third leg of the stool and we'll be able to sit in 2 or 3 years. Love that, Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
wonderful.
think, as people said, all three of them are within us at all times, right? And it's which ones we lift up, you know.
Yeah, and paying attention to what's calling us and that balance being different times of the moon cycle, different times of our life. It's sort of like that balance is different what we need. Yeah. Yeah, even different from the like for our cats, then winter they're all happy, like in the nourish and empower, cozy by the fire, and then spring comes and they're like move and invigorate, yeah, I'm off. Yeah. Lovely, great. So, thank you everyone for joining us on this journey to celebrate the seeds of peace going global,
Mm.
and just really appreciative of all the work that everyone's put in the translation, all your inspiration and thoughts and attention to detail, particularly the core team of Christy, Anna, Tess, and Kathy. I'm grateful to you, John, for being part of this co-creative journey of the Cultural Emergence Toolkit, and yeah, really appreciate everyone just showing up here, and like I feel like we've sown lots of seeds this evening. I've seen in the chat some people saying, okay, I want to use the design web for projects, and maybe you want to put in the chat something you're taking away from this call. Maybe like one seed of peace that you want to water in your life and tend and help to grow, because that's what happens with seeds. It's actually really simple to put them in the ground, but then you need to tend them for them to grow and for them to fruit. So yeah, really wanting yeah, hearing what you want to take away. And Christy's put in a link in there about if you want to help with translation into other languages, then you can. So yeah, let's see if there's any takeaways from the chat. Yeah. Okay, so James found an inspiring name for your design. I'd love to hear it. From Naomi, takeaway: the potential held within sometimes challenging times of the potential held within times of transition, even if they're challenging. Sunny, seeds I'm taking away is a reminder of how amazing folks there are. We need you, all of you. Yeah, lovely. Maria, connection to nature, other people, and myself is a balancing ground. Anna, so happy to see many people here joining love, inspiration, good intentions, and amazing effort to nurture the world we want to live in. Rebecca, to not resist this next phase I'm coming into. JD sees the universe existence as something to be noticed that moved me so deeply, and look forward to noticing more. Wonderful. And Erin, I feel less overwhelmed and looking forward to designing this new challenge in my life. Lovely. Great. Well, we are at time, so it's lovely to hear more people putting the takeaways in the chat. So I don't know, John, if you've noticed a couple you'd like to read out to end in. I mean, carry on putting them in, but we won't, we'll respect people's time and won't read them all. But...
Yeah, Lucas You're right. We're never alone in all this. And the one thing I'm feeling, which some of you might be feeling as well, is just this time together, even just playing with this a little bit, what it's generated, right? You probably all feel that. We've all got a little extra spark here today. And yeah, that we can actually choose to work on this in some small way in our lives and just make this world a better place. It feels really good. And I also want to echo gratitude for all the translators and all the work behind the scenes to help uh, make this happen today. It's been really fun, and I'm sure we'll see you in the future somewhere, maybe on a design adventure, hopefully, and or at Luby's spa, Applewood spa. Yes. Well, should we wrap up and do you want me to
Yeah,
do the closing words here?
yeah. One of the things that I just saw there, just from Helen, so good to plug into this global energy and hope. So yeah, that's a
Mm,
thank you all for being part of this global energy and hope. Yeah,
yay.
I'll pass it to
Agreed.
you, John, to wrap up.
Yep. All right. So let's go back to the very beginning. Remember when we all sort of remembered we're all on the surface of this beautiful sphere we call Mother Earth, and each of us is in our little place around this great big planet, and and the gratitude that we shared in the chat, and the gratitude that we shared here with our voices, and to bring our minds together in a good way and our hearts together. So now we have to go on to other things. So let's take that what we gathered from this time together and bundle it up and bring it into our hearts as we separate our minds to go our separate ways until we meet again. Maybe you can touch someone with that little extra spark you got and see if you can make something positive happen out there. Blessings, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Obrigada.
Yeah, if you'd like to say goodbye in your language, that'd be
Dankjewel.
Merci tout le
Kwaheri.
monde.
Спасибо.
Merci, au
Tot
revoir.
ziens.
Adios. Ciao.
Thank you.
Temos.
Maraming salamat.
Tusen tack.
Paalam.
Bless.
Gracias.
Grazie.
Ciao.
Danke.
Grazie. Ciao. Ciao.
Tack så mycket.
Au revoir.
Wow, well, that was one of the most beautiful goodbye in so many languages. Beautiful.
Sloan.